We're still in Module 1 and today we're looking at Topic 2. We're going to be looking at a career in sales. We're going to be looking at various types of sales jobs. We're going to be spending quite a bit of time on consultative selling, which for me is one of my favorite topics. So if I talk too much about that, please bear with me. We're going to be looking at direct selling and something else that you probably know more about than me. So again, I want you to go back and do some research, is technical issues in sales. So some nice topics today, and welcome. I'm glad to be back with you. So what does a missionary salesperson do? They sell stories. These are your liquor reps. These are your pharmaceutical reps. How do you sell drugs? How do you sell pharmaceuticals? Do you go to the doctor and you say, this drug is the best on the market? No, you sell hope, don't you? How do you sell liquor? You sell a lifestyle. You sell a lifestyle. How do you sell wine? You sell a lifestyle. You're selling a story. You're selling a wine farm. So missionary selling is selling a story, okay? Sales engineer sells technical, is giving information. So all these names are quite clever. They tell you what it is. Missionary sells hope, sells stories, technical sales, sales engineer. There's a section in your book talking about improving the reputation of personal selling. Unfortunately, sales, a lot of personal selling has a bad rep. Unscrupulous salespeople, you know, the good old Ponzi schemes that we all know about. And in the olden days, and I don't want to use examples because I'm sure some of you are in the industries that I could use the examples of, but there are certain industries that have got bad reps because people used to do unscrupulous things. And industries work very hard to change that. But rules and regulations have been put in place, ethics committees have been put in place, and companies really work very hard at changing those associations. And at the end of the day, you as the rep or as the salesperson has to take ownership. Okay, sales trends in the age of technology. In your book, there's a little section about selling to Generation X. I would like to start off with talking about selling to the millennials. You know, there's so much written about the millennials, and a lot of you watching this are millennials. Take it as a compliment or take umbrage to it as a millennial, whichever way you like. But the millennials are people of the digital era. They are very informed. They have grown up with technology. They don't easily take they don't just take something at face value. They do research, they study, they know what they want, and they care for the world. They care for the environment. So they make decisions based on the bigger picture. And you as a salesperson has to be very cognitive of that when you sell to this generation. The next generation is Generation X, and they are even more so. They are even more technologically advanced because some of the millennials weren't born with technology, but Generation X, they were born with cell phones. They were never born in an era where there was no technology. So they are so advanced. And you have to completely understand that. Let's go back to my generation. Sometimes we're afraid of technology. If you sold to somebody of my generation, you've got to be mindful of that and not scare us with too much technology. So you've got to understand technology in the content of how you're selling to your target market or your target audience. So you can't think as a salesperson, oh, I'm so technologically savvy and, you know, I've got all this technology to my advantage and therefore my target market or my customer has to use this as well. You've got to understand your target market. So if you're selling to somebody who's very traditional and maybe a bit older, go gently. They might not know technology as much as you think they do. Go gently, okay? Use the tools, but go gently. Millennials, understand how they think, use the tools, understand their mindset, understand what drives them. use the tools, but understand what motivates them. Next generation, Generation X, even more so. Use the tools 100%. But remember, they want to save the earth. You can't sell them something that's not environmentally friendly. Okay, so bear that in mind. The tools that are available to salespeople. Something that I feel very strongly about, having been a sales manager for a very long time, are CRM tools. Customer relationship management tools. You can't live without them. You need them. You need that information. All of you that are selling have got them somehow or another. Even if you've got your own company and you're selling only by yourself, you've got it. Even if you've got it simply on your cell phone, research it, use it, know it, and work with it. Your computer, your cell phone, all those tools, okay, how you do your presentations. There's so much technology that salespeople have got available. There will be a referral to your booklet, quite a bit written about technology. I implore you please to read it. I implore you to research it. I don't have enough time today to go into depth about technology, but it is important. So technology is there to be used, but be mindful. So you've got to go back to the psychology of understanding your target market or your consumer, your target audience, and you've got to use the technology correctly to communicate with them. Does that make sense? So be a bit of a shrink, understand them, be a bit of a technical wizard, and use technology to advantage to communicate with them. Okay, then characteristics of effective salespeople. I don't even think it's in here. It says in your textbook, the first one, it says are good communicators. I would like that to be in big letters, are good listeners, can listen. Sometimes you only have 3 seconds or 3 minutes to listen to your customer, and if you didn't listen properly, you've got it wrong. So effective salespeople are good listeners and good communicators. You sometimes have a very short time span to communicate, to listen, to talk. You have to be able to read non-verbal communication. You know, if you walk into a client and you can see their face is just, today is not the day, it doesn't mean you've got to turn around and walk away, but you've got to know how to handle it. Positive attitude. Honestly, we talk about relationship marketing, we talk about relationship selling. If you walk in and you've got this dreary face and you've got the world on your shoulders, how on earth are you going to sell to them? How on earth are you going to satisfy a need? Because immediately they're going to pick up on that. So basically just, be positive, listen, be there for them, okay? Know your products, be knowledgeable. Be knowledgeable. We spoke about technology, but you've got to know your product, know your policies of your company. There's nothing worse than a customer asking you something and you say you don't know. If you don't know, what do you say? I'll find out. I'll get back to you, and then get back to them. Get back to them. Please don't ignore them. Please don't do that, because that's unreliable and they'll never trust you again, okay? Honesty, discipline, motivation, all those things, the list is endless. Just be real. Be a real person. People can trust you, okay? Consultative selling is a term you've got to know. Remember I said marketing orientation is something I want to wake you up in the middle of the night and you've got to know. Consultative selling is something you've got to know. Consultative selling and marketing orientation goes hand in hand. So consultative selling is something about understanding the customer's needs, finding the information, helping them, and building a long-term relationship. So it's threefold. If you're a consultative salesperson, you've got 3 hats on. You're a team leader. You as a team leader knows a lot of things in your company. Let's use this as an example. I've got a client and he wants to buy a car. I'm selling cars. He wants to know when the car will be delivered. He wants to know what the terms are. He wants to know how long it'll take to be paid off. He wants to know all those things. So I have to liaise with finance. I have to liaise with the factory. I have to liaise with, you see, all those different departments. So I'm a team leader. I'm not just the salesman. I don't know all those answers. I liaise with all those departments because my customer doesn't want to talk to the finance manager. My customer doesn't want to talk to the factory. He wants to deal with me. So I'm the team leader, okay? At the same time, I'm what is called the business consultant. It is very important in consultative selling to understand that you have to help your customer sell the product. And this is often the case in business to business selling. Consultative selling is a bit like being a marketing manager. Your customers now bought the product. Now they almost expect you to be a bit of a marketer. They expect you to help them sell this product. This is now again go back to companies that do promotions. When you go into a bottle store, you go into a supermarket where you see those people doing in-store tastings or in-store demonstrations. That's consultative selling. You as the salesperson is not necessarily doing the in-store tasting, but you're adding value. You're doing a tool to help the customer sell the product. So you're finding ways to help the customer sell the product. So you're the team leader. You've got to explain to him when the delivery will take, when the accounts will be paid, and you've got to help him sell the product out. Okay, the third role of consultative selling is the long-term ally. In business to business markets, where I use the example, you are the rep, you have a client, you are the contact person. If the client has got an account problem, he doesn't want to phone accounts, he wants to deal with you. If the client has a production issue, he wants to deal with you. So the third role in consultative selling is the long-term ally. We're building relationships, we're building long-term relationships. To build a long-term relationship or to have a long-term relationship with a customer is far cheaper than having to find new customers. So guess what? You as the salesperson, you're in it for the long run. And remember I said, you leave the company, you take your customers with you. So it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Direct selling is the second biggest growing industry in the world, according to Forbes. It makes sense though. It really does make sense because you've got so much freedom. I think also probably the way the world is going, that business is so hard and corporate, to get into the corporate world is tough. But because direct selling offers so much freedom, it is the second biggest growing industry in the world. Okay? And interestingly, but you'll see this in your notes, 34% of direct selling revenue comes from wellness products. Did you know that? 34% comes from wellness products. We get different types of direct selling. We get the good old door-to-door direct selling, which is one-on-one. And then we get the group direct selling, which is the Tupperware parties, the hostess direct selling. And ladies and gents, we have come to the end of topic 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I've learned a lot today, so I hope you did as well. And I'm very much looking forward to the next topic with you.